Welcome to Aging in Place Strategies and Answers with Linda Prio. Will it be possible to remain in my home as I age? Do I feel safe in my home? How do I figure out how much support I will need when my health needs start to change? What if I decide to move into a community instead? Which community will meet my needs now and in the future? Who will play a role in helping me with decision making? Do you ask yourself these same questions? Aging in Place Strategies and Answers can help you gain practical knowledge that will help you create your own Aging in Place roadmap. If you are already a care partner, a power of attorney, or in crisis mode with your Aging in Place strategy, you will learn what you need to know that you don't know. For over 20 years, I have been marketing Aging in Place services to clients and educating families and healthcare professionals in how to put aging in place strategies into place. When you utilize aging in place, you are allowed to choose where you want to live and make those decisions so that you can retain your quality of life. Hello, listeners, and welcome back to Aging in Place Strategies and Answers. And I hope that you were able to listen to part 1 of my series where I am talking about incontinence. I started with a general overview of UI or urinary incontinence. And now today I'm going to be talking about how urinary incontinence can affect women. So be looking, men, for my next podcast, which will address incontinence in men. The first thing I want everybody to know is that you are not alone in this journey, that many people are experiencing urinary incontinence. And the other thing that is important to remember is that it's highly treatable. So while this is a difficult topic to bring up because it is so private and it is part of our dignity as human beings, when we don't bring it up and discuss it, then the lack of knowledge and education can cause us more difficulties and anxieties around this issue. But when you're able to discuss this with your medical team, then you're able to get focused on the appropriate treatment for the kind of urinary incontinence that you have. And you're also going to be able to get to the right products to provide you the ability to continue with your life as you want to live it. So women especially have a lot of urinary incontinence, and we are not alone in that struggle because 25 to 50% of women experience some form of urinary incontinence. It could be leakage that they cannot control. However, in Home Care Magazine, October 25, it reported that only 1 in 4 women with urinary incontinence seek professional help. And then fewer still receive the treatment that they need. So if you're listening today, I want you to remember what I said in the opening, that you're not alone and this is highly treatable. Now, there are many underlying causes that I brought forward in my previous podcast episode. And one of the causes could produce mixed incontinence, which is suffering from one or more types of incontinence. Now, it is important that we also come to the realization and knowledge that because only 1 in 4 women seek professional help and treatment, and there are 25 to 50% of women suffering, we find that UI, or urinary incontinence is often underdiagnosed and undertreated because it's a private matter and it's difficult to discuss. But one thing we know for sure is that it can affect your overall health, your well-being, your relationships, and your independence. So we don't want that to happen, do we? Well, where would you start to get knowledge? If knowledge is the key and finding the right person to talk to is important, once we move past the point of saying this is just too personal to bring up, but it is affecting my life, there are some places that you can begin to get knowledge and find potential solutions and help for urinary incontinence. So I started with a Google search, probably similar to what you might do yourself. And I learned that there is a National Association for Continence, and they have a wealth of knowledge on their website. So if you would like to go and get some background knowledge and learn a little bit more, go to nafc.org. That's nafc.org. Whenever there are foundations and associations available to help people learn and potentially conquer their health concern, you can also find tips and tools that can help you find a workaround. So you can also learn about incontinence at a National Association for Continence.com. And that is also a website. Now, it is also important that when you're starting to think about treatment options and getting some help for urinary incontinence, you need to know what kind of health insurance you have so that you can schedule an appointment with a healthcare provider in network. This is especially important because you may be referred to a specialist such as a urologist, a gynecologist, or a physical therapist. Based on the symptoms that you are reporting to your healthcare team, they will know what kind of specialist you are going to need. You also want to bring a list of your current medications plus any supplements that you are taking so that your doctor can review that list. You could also show your pharmacist your list of medications and supplements and then ask the pharmacist if there are any items on the list that could be causing urge incontinence or frequent urination. Knowledge is the key to eliminating imaginations and the first step to potential solutions and workarounds. Now, here's my pro tip. Pharmacists cannot prescribe or de-prescribe a medication, only the physician who prescribed it. And I counted, and there were at least 20 frequently prescribed medications that could affect your ability to remain continent. So note, not everyone will have the same symptoms because we are unique and taking different doses over different lengths of time. Your job is to be an informed patient and ask questions. If you have been diagnosed with cancer, have had cancer treatments, and are connected with an oncologist and are having symptoms of urinary incontinence, I would suggest that you check in first with your oncologist and your cancer team. Healthcare providers is the first step in addressing UI when you have concerns, because they can recommend appropriate treatment. And the other big thing I would like for you to remember, listeners, is that not all incontinence will be solved by surgery, products, devices, and therapy. However, again, only 1 in 4 women actually seek professional help. So there's a lot of help out there. And once we put knowledge in the place of fear and anxiety, then it's a lot easier to move forward. Let's take a break and hear from our sponsor.
Do you want assisted living services but don't want to leave your home? Call Continuum at 314-863-9912. Our professional team has 20 plus years of experience and will help you create the perfect care solution that meets your current and future needs. Continuum supports independence at every stage of life. Call 314-863-9912 for a free consultation or visit us at continuumcare.com.
Let's return to the podcast and continue our discussion on women and urinary incontinence. We have just discussed now where to head when we have questions and get some answers and what healthcare providers we should be talking to. But here is what kind of information you should be sharing with your medical provider. Simply said, all you have to do is say, I wanted to report that I have started experiencing urinary incontinence. Is this something that I should be concerned about? Could it be my medication? And then that opens the discussion for your physician to ask you how often this could be happening. Does it occur when you're laughing, sneezing, coughing, or exercising? Is it occurring all the time, part of the time, hardly ever? It's not really affecting you, but it was something that you wanted to report. And they might also ask, what are you currently using to address the leakage or the urge that you are feeling with your urinary incontinence? And of course, it would be very good if they asked, how is urinary incontinence starting to affect your daily life? The answers to those questions will then be able to guide the future discussion or at least some diagnostic testing that would help your healthcare team to evaluate what is going on and why this is happening at this particular time. So here are some treatments a healthcare team might recommend after the medication lists and your symptoms are discussed. One of the key ways to help minimize and reduce the effects of urinary incontinence is bladder training, just like we do with young children when they're learning how to be potty trained. So bladder training as well as pelvic floor exercises such as Kegels, and that's Kegels. And if you don't know what that is, then I'm going to send you right over to Google so that you can learn what that is and put that into your daily routine. And then, of course, core strength training can really help the pelvic floor. Sometimes a pessary or a type of ring that is inserted internally might help with mild stress incontinence for women. Your doctor might also ask, what kind of beverages do you drink on a daily basis? Did you know that adjusting the type of beverages you drink could help? Caffeine, alcohol, and carbonated drinks with the addition of artificial sweeteners have been shown to affect your bladder and can cause increased urination. NAFC.org had this on their website. They're saying that 80% of the results in the gym take place in the kitchen. And that can also be applied to your continence. What you eat and drink, how much, and even when you consume it can dramatically impact incontinence. So don't worry that right away you're going to be sent for surgery, because there are many things that we can do to help with this problem of urinary incontinence. So as we review what we've learned so far, incontinence is real. Urinary incontinence is highly treatable, but it is not a normal part of aging. Incontinence starts with you. Is it a symptom? Is it a side effect or a condition? Find out why this has become a change in your normal routine. Take responsibility. Make an appointment with your medical professionals so that they can evaluate what practical changes you need to make to stay hydrated but reduce your symptoms. And then, of course, find organizations like I mentioned in this podcast, and we'll have in the show notes for you, because they are filled with tips, tools, and encouragement for you in this journey. And you are not alone. And you know what? I already know that you're not alone, because when you go to look at incontinence products, that aisle is very, very large, and there's always somebody in it. So learn what is available, what kind of guards and pads and products are available to you so that you can continue to have quality of life. As always, I like to leave my listeners with a caregiver tip. So here is my tip for today. If you are caring for a female that is starting to experience incontinence, please share that information at their next doctor appointment. If your care receiver has been in a long-term care community for rehab, they may experience temporary incontinence. And this temporary incontinence may be due to lack of staffing to help with frequent and normal toileting. At rehab communities, they also prefer that people do not fall and injure themselves additionally or in a more serious fashion. So they always ask that you don't go to the bathroom by yourself, that you wait for somebody. But if you have to wait a long time and no one comes, then that can be part of the problem. The other issue is that if you don't go to the bathroom, your body forgets what muscles to use. But be aware, the body can be retrained. Also, bring a list of medications and supplements for the doctor and the pharmacist to review to make sure that there are no problems with medications causing this new symptom. But remember, dehydration is not a solution, and it causes unnecessary hospitalizations and a host of other health issues. If your care receiver is very tired because they're recovering from an illness, it is possible that getting up and walking to the bathroom frequently can become very taxing. So it is very easy to bring a potty chair and put it close to where they're sitting or close to the bed. And this will help to save some energy, keep the body working appropriately, but preventing falls and wearing them out. It is also very important that if incontinence has started to be a part of the care picture that you're providing, it is important that you learn that cleanliness and pericare, and that's PERICARE, and frequent pad changers is a must for someone experiencing increased incontinence to prevent urinary infections as well as skin breakdown. The good news is, friends, just like there are more incontinence products on the market, for women, it has been very difficult to help women, especially at night, because there has not been a catheter available that is an external catheter. And so I'm happy to report that there are new external female catheter devices that are now available for women, and they make overnights restful, and the patient, the care receiver is dry, and there are fewer infections and skin breakdown, and they're able to rest comfortably. So please check out external female catheter devices if getting up and down at night is an issue, and managing that incontinence is wearing out the care provider as well as the care receiver. Thank you for listening today, and be listening again when I introduce you to the owner of Easy Pants. She has a patent on some pants that can really help those that are suffering from incontinence, or care providers that are helping people manage their incontinence as they age. And then, of course, I'm going to have another podcast specifically for men. Thank you for joining me today. Please remember that this podcast is intended as education and not advice. Don't forget to share this podcast with family, friends, or colleagues who want to learn how to age in place, but also share this with those who find themselves in crisis mode. Please go to my website, seniorsupportstrategies.com, for more information. When you subscribe to Aging in Place Strategies and Answers, you gain access to premium content and professional tips on creating your own Aging in Place roadmap. As always, I value the time you spend with me.